Hello everyone, how you doing? This is Coach Terrence Turner, aka Coach T. I am the host of the Coach T podcast show. Today we're going to talk about how to use Twitter for recruiting. The reason why I'm a huge advocate and I recommend that athletes or recruits utilize Twitter for recruiting is because a lot of coaches, college coaches, they are on Twitter. They're probably more so on Twitter than any other social media app. So you as a recruit, as a player, you want to make sure that you are on this app. Obviously, a lot of people know about Twitter, they use it, but if you're a recruit, you want to make sure you set up a recruiting page or a personal player page. And a way to do so is by doing this. Number one, when setting up your recruiting profile, you want to make sure you list in your bio, that is the first section that coaches see when they click on your profile. You want to list your name, you want to list your graduation year, you want to list your Huddle, YouTube, highlight link. You want to make that clickable, so it is a live link. You want to list your GPA. You want to also list your ACT or your SAT test score. We talked about that last episode. If you do not have that test score yet, you want to list when you are taking that test. You want to list your school, the city, the state, and what positions you play, both on the offense, defense, and on the special team side of the ball. And then you want to, for your player profile, don't put any random photo. You want to make sure you put a picture of, preferably a player picture of yourself. So you in your jersey, you in your uniform, showing your number, showing your school, and obviously showing you as a recruit. All right, number two, you want to make sure once you set up your player profile, and this is very key, it probably should be rule number one, but you want to make sure that you are very careful as a player what you post, what you repost. All right, this is key because I remember as a recruiter, and I did it for a while, the first thing we would do when we go into a player's profile is you look to see what they are posting and reposting. What to post? You may ask that. You want to make sure you post videos of yourself working out. You want to post, again, your highlight link. You want to post, anything sports or football, basketball related, right? Whatever sport you play, but if we're talking about football players, you want to post some football things, repost those type of things. That's totally fine. What you do not want to repost, and I've seen some crazy things, trust me, you don't want to repost anything with obscenities, anything with a bunch of swear or curse words. You as a person, when you're tweeting as a recruit, don't tweet out any elaborate curse words or anything crazy. Like, just think, right? If mom and dad don't want to see it, then I guarantee as a recruiter, they don't want to see it as well. So make sure that you're reposting or you're posting things or you're tweeting things that are appropriate and it represent you in the right way. That's very key, and you'd be surprised how many coaches are turned off by players and they end up not offering that player a scholarship simply because they don't like what they're posting. Because they feel like if a player is putting this out there for the universe, for the world to see, they clearly do not care how others perceive them, and that's very key when you're recruiting. You got to make sure that you're perceived the right way. So that's a big piece, and I don't think enough recruits understand that. There's always people watching, so make sure you watch what you post. All right. Number three, this is key as well. Make sure that you message coaches. All right. Now, some may say, well, I can't message the coach if their profile is not open, right? If it's a private profile, then you're not able to message that coach. If the coach's profile is private, I would then tell you to engage with that coach through their tweets. So if a coach sends out a tweet about their university or their school, their camp dates, anything that's going on at their school, you would want to go into that post, write a little comment, say, hey coach, I'm so-and-so. I would love to learn more about your school. Tell me more about your school, your program. That's a great way to engage if that coach has a private profile, and that can start the interaction, that can start the conversation with that coach. If the coach's profile is open, meaning that you can message that coach anytime, it doesn't matter if you follow him or he follows you, it's an open profile, you can message him. And what do you message? you want to make sure you list, and I'm looking down at the paper, so sorry if you guys aren't seeing my eyes on this, but you want to make sure that you link your highlight, all right, your YouTube highlight, your huddle highlight. You want to also list your transcripts in that message. You can either send a picture form, or you can actually add the link. I know some people have a live link, a website link to their transcript information. And then clearly you want to list your school, your city, your state, and then what positions you play. And then always, same thing we talked about in the email, always inquire in these messages about camps and about visits. Always talk about this, camps and visits, camps and visits, camps and visits. You want to show your interest. You want to show that you are willing to do whatever it takes to get in front of this coach. And the best way to do that as a recruit is to either attend a prospect camp or to come on a school visit, whether that's a junior day visit, whether that's an official visit, whether that's an unofficial visit. You want to show that you're interested in this school, and the best way to do that is to show that you're willing to take a day out of your week, take time out of your schedule to go to that school, go to that coach, go to that staff on their campus, and be seen. And then lastly, and it's a very short podcast, so I hope you guys don't mind, but lastly, you want to follow 5 coaches each day. All right. Following coaches is very key, simply because you are able to showcase to the coach that, you know, hey, I have something to show. I'm a player that wants to get out there. I'm being proactive. I'm not sitting back and waiting for recruiting to just magically happen, right? That's not how recruiting works, especially in 2019 and on. Like, the recruits that get the most amount of interest, they get the most feedback, they are the players that are putting themselves out there. They are the players that are setting up these recruiting profiles through Twitter, right? I don't necessarily think you need another type of profile or website or, you know, any of those third-party services. I think as a player, you should put it into your own hands, and you should feel like, hey, if this is my future, this is something that I want to do, I have to be proactive. I have to get out there. I have to maybe get a little bit outside of my comfort zone and, you know, feel a little uncomfortable at first, understand that this is only for the betterment of me as a player and for my future. And I think if players followed 5 coaches a day and they message 5 coaches a day, don't have to be the same coach, you know, maybe a different coach, maybe another coach doesn't follow you back. So you have to message the coach that does follow you back. However you end up doing it, if you can follow 5 coaches a day and you can message 5 coaches a day on Twitter, you'll be surprised how much interest you would get. And I'll always suggest starting with schools that are local, right? I'm in the New England area. A lot of athletes that I deal with clearly are in this area. And I would suggest that you start by messaging or following coaches or sending your information to coaches, whether that's on Twitter or whether that's on through email. You want to start with schools and coaches that are local to your region, to your state, to your area. Because if a coach is closer, they are more prone to recruiting players more seriously if they are a local player, right? It's much more feasible for a coach in Massachusetts to recruit a player in Massachusetts or Rhode Island or Connecticut, as opposed to that coach going all the way across country to go check out a player in California. All right, a lot of these schools, especially when you get to the D1AA, FCS, or D2, D3 level, they don't have the resources, the money to travel all across the nation just to check out a player on a hope or on a whim. So what they're going to do, they're going to maximize their resources. They're going to be very efficient in their recruiting, and the best way to do this as a coach is to recruit players locally. So you as a local recruit, as a local player, someone that's right in their network, you want to make sure that you are reaching out to coaches that are closer to you in proximity. That way, the recruiting is a little bit easier on both sides. Whether you have to go on a visit or have to go to a camp, it's much easier for you to make an hour drive as opposed to buying a plane ticket and, you know, a hotel room to go to a school that's halfway across the country that, you know, truth be told, they're not really going to recruit you in another region. They're going to recruit players in their region. So a little bit shorter today. I'm trying to do more of these. I'm trying to, I guess, be more consistent with these videos. I actually have a training coming up soon couple trainings, and then I have our 7-on-7 practice later tonight. But if you guys have any feedback, like, let me know. I don't do this to show my face. I don't do this to get famous or anything like that. Like, I do this to simply put out this information because I do think it's very helpful to players like you, for parents and families that are listening. They clearly are looking for resources when it comes to recruiting. And I know that with my background and my experiences, I know that that can be very helpful, and this information can, whether it helps one or a million people, it doesn't matter. It's going to help someone get information that maybe they did not have previously, and now they're able to take that information, apply it, and use it for their future. I mean, there is money out there in sports, right? I think we know that, right? And I think it's much more realistic, not that I think, I know, it's much more realistic for players to make it to the collegiate ranks as opposed to, right, the professional ranks. I don't know what the stats are, but everyone's heard it, right? Let's think about just football. You know, probably 2% of college football players actually make it to the NFL level. And then from there, you know, a small percentage, the average career is 2.5, 3 years. So, I mean, that's a heartbeat, right? But it's much more realistic to get into a college university and utilize your athletic skill in addition to your academic skill, combine those two and receive a scholarship. Like, that's much more feasible. That's much more attainable for a lot of people. And again, there's a lot of money out there when it comes to recruiting and scholarships, whether it be athletic or academic scholarships. And we'll talk about that in a later episode. But there is money to be had out there if you're a recruit that is serious and you're a recruit that is proactive, because there are a lot of players out there. And I've talked about this before, and I cannot stress it enough. There are millions of players out there, and there are only so many coaches. There's only so much time. There's only so much time they can watch film, or so many hours they can drive to schools and check out a kid at practice, or, you know, see him in school, or, you know, invite him to camps. Like, there's only so much that can be done. So as a player, you have to do all that you can to get in front of these coaches, whether it's through a computer screen, whether it's through an email, whether it's through a direct message to a coach on Twitter, whether it's at a college camp, whether it's on an unofficial visit. Like, you got to get in front of these coaches. They have to know who you are, because if you're out of sight, you are out of mind. And for a lot of players, they wait, right? They wait for recruiting, and they end up getting thrown on the back burner or never even heard about because they never put themselves out there. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Make sure that you, as a player, as a recruit, and as a parent, you are being proactive, you are being diligent, you are being consistent. All right, day to day, week to week, you are reaching out to coaches. You're doing your best to get in front of these recruiters, and I guarantee if you do that enough, you go hard for a month or two, I guarantee you're going to get a lot more interest, and you're going to get a lot more conversation than you just sitting back and waiting magically for a recruiting to happen. It doesn't work that way. All right, so this is, again, Coach T, Terrence Turner. I am the host of the Coach T podcast show. I always got to add that in. So make sure you guys, if you like it, like what I do, share it, like it, tell someone about it. The more that can hear it, the more that can be helped. So I thank you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.